government agencies controlling all that. On this week, he commemorates with us in Oyo State. Okay, we are all calling him criminal at first. He said he did not even own any building. He did not own. I also want to Road very well. That express was when would there be overhead bridge, pedestrian bridge, rather things that we need to. Because I know people will come for me. I don't.
Okay, yes, he can.
But my credit starts now.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond.
Thank you.
How do they know? How do they know? Yeah. I think there should be in America or 191 used in other villages. A lot of illegal mining activities to curb.
I'm a miner, professional works. It ideally should even be the local. Now, where you keep your explosives, there are, in the Mining Act, there are permits you must get from the police. Then there are places you keep it. All these big constructionists, they all have explosives. They have sheds. They have reinforced compartments in case of explosions that can contain it. But the issue is, even if it's done at the local government, and that's what, like any other thing in Nigeria, it is devoluted, and it is approached from bottom down, local government. There's the part of the responsibility of the miner, of the company. So that, what do we do? How responsible are we to those acts? Even as it is, the Mining Act makes it mandatory for those advocacy groups that we are pressing professionals in mining for reordering and rearrangement. When it's done, should be at the local, where they can really imagine if it's the local government. Thank you.
What's your name again, sir? All right, I want to be educated. After I've worked on my script, I don't want to do it. But let me give you the most discussed sector in of West African state. A startling reality. It's potential revenue from the mining sector due to illegal activities. And these illegal activities, politicians are involved. So when we are talking about illegal mining, don't just think of foreigners alone. Top Nigerians are involved in what is going on. They are involved. Let's listen to, I want you to listen to this.
And one pernicious discovery that we made, Mr. Chairman, with this sector, your artisanal miners, these are heavy power. They are not foreigners, but the foreigners are not the diseases. Nigerians are the powers behind those foreigners that you see.
Live.
Is that a lot of this sector, artisanal miners are heavy. They are not foreigners. Yes, you can see foreigners as symptoms, but the foreigners are not the diseases. Nigerians are the powers behind those foreigners that you see on.
Stay tuned. That's the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, before the House of Representatives. I have done quite some extensive work on what is going on in the mining sector. Next week, I'm just giving you a tip of Isaac Albert.
Problems. Mine in Niger, taking away these high-priced mineral resources and giving weapons to our people. You see, there is all kinds of things, but they tell us the only thing they are mining there is gold. It is not true. It is not true. So we cannot be deceiving ourselves and be pretending that we are running a viable country. Nigeria is not viable as presently structured. And so Nigerians are taking over their mineral resources. But I was told yesterday that there is plenty of president we need him out quickly.
Next week, I'll be taking you deep into that sector. My intention was to start it this week, but I'm saying no. Let me run it on a show. I don't want it to be part 1 and 2. It is revealing. Though I might not be able to radio, expand my investigation. Producing criminally minded leadership, destroying the country. It has to be a fight. Our leaders have lost their minds. We have no reason to be poor. But you go to the Niger Delta, the people are poor. The environment is devastated. The Oye community, Egbema, during the week, explosion that consumed the lives of young persons. When 5 FM, the integrity station. Go back after the Nigerian revolution possible. I'll tell you. Live. A loud explosion.
Explosion happened, and the lights so happened because I wasn't there. Then, with regards to that, is that it wasn't a bomb. Correct, insurgents and that they had thrown a bomb from an aircraft at that time to that area. That is incorrect. It does not even follow any logical thinking. Some people had said, because it does not, initial findings, which I can say we can deduct logically, is the third, things like dynamite or explosives wrongly in a magazine as per the provision of Explosive Ordnance Act. The Explosive Ordnance Act, the main requirement is use it. And when you location of your magazine, and the Federal Ministry of Mines and Power is also, magazine is located, and to find out that the magazine is constructed in a way to meet the requisite terms that is provided in the Explosive Ordnance Act. So that is how it's supposed to be. So this kind of dynamite provision of Explosive Ordnance Act. In addition to that, because of the magnitude, that whatever that is kept must have been kept for a very long time, that has matured, waiting to explode at a would explain
thieves in that house
of investigation. But for facts are being put together, whoever is the occupant of that property had written at one point or the other to seek up. And in a situation like this, deductions can be made that for that person, the fellow, doing some illegal operations. And that is why we had come up with a deduction that this fellow is suspect that will like illegal mining. Because if it's someone that has been engaged in legitimate mining or quarry business, the person will know that it is obligatory on him as per the law to keep those materials in a magazine. In unraveling, there are so many ways that the information know, and from where this ministry of security had, compromised, it is also easy to know. But in conduction of investigation, criminal investigation department of Oyo State Police Command, the DSS, with the support of the experts of progressive, it is not a rocket science, it is a building.
And of course, the building has an owner. The owner is not inherited the property. Handle station that can say, oh, okay, to station meeting. So we should allow them to go on with their work, and we should be in it, and all what the state knows as the investigation will be done to logical conclusion. Whoever, either directly or indirectly, remotely is connected, those people will be unveiled at a point in matter to such a logical conclusion that we can do successful prosecution.
There have been insinuation that those occupying that said building are not Nigerians. Do you have a
Lord and resident has to see this out? It's a Malian. So some other information.
Integrity Station currently evolve the up of books begins with Act Now. Read the book Why Not You. You'll find it on Udara 08309 Capture. Is this one a book written by it is a thought-provoking and insightful book written by Wangari Maathai, a renowned Kenyan environmentalist, political activist, and Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Those intellectuals fighting for the redemption of Africa. In this book, a perspective and environmental conservation. We read both. Here, Wangari Maathai advocates for economic practices that of future generations to meet their own needs. She writes about good governance, environmental conservation, empowerment of women. She talks about global partnerships, issues facing to overcome in Africa's development, environmental issues, progress. Contact me on the program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I was told I started the analysis is the War of Vagabonds, but this time the mining sector, the War of Vagabond and the that Chief Akonde identified. About the country's inauguration of an ad hoc committee to investigate the subject. Abbas stated that Nigeria has lost approximately $46 billion to crude oil theft over crude oil from 2.5 million barrels per day. The country's ability to exporting countries, OPEC. Abbas is yet to mention the amount lost from oil theft from 2020 to 2023. Who do you think are behind oil theft? They include the going and the coming political vagabond. Why $1 billion Abbas talks about? These funds are in the hands of vagabonds, wreaking havoc on the national psyche, taking their wealth from the source. They are going into the pipeline using members of the masses class who are now armed with weapons and millions. In one of Splash FM anniversary lectures, I think that should be about 9 years, he makes up of things.
I'm serious about this. And I said this, and I've said it before. that in the olden days, I mean many years, all the years that they have gotten oil from those communities they have water. They say, what do you want? And see what actually this education and many people do not even know that some of the problem, one way they are right, because the oil flows, that's all. But people want job. So they started with some policy that many of you here do not know about. They call it stay at home. What it meant is that don't worry us, stay at home, we will pay you. And they were paying as much as 30,000 to some youths in communities. Now, you know, these things happen when the company has finished, they move out. So you paid someone who had no 10 or 30,000 that we want money. That's how the militancy and armed thing started. So some of the practices of the oil companies themselves led to what we have reaped.
Tuned. That was Ledon Mite about 8 years ago, delivering Splash FM anniversary lecture. He's a former president. The 9 Ogonis. Ledon Mite was one of them that Bacha took to prison. But he was lucky he was not executed. Community youths will carry guns if we don't check it. In mining communities in Oshun or Yo, Zamfara, they are already carrying guns. As the vagabonds are not resting on their oars. If these vagabonds indeed possess their political influence, Conde is stating emphatically, if you missed that analysis, you can always go on my Facebook page and listen to last week's analysis, part 1. This is part 2, but during his birthday in Ibadan. Stating consequences. Joseph Stanley, a vagabond, outsmarted his leaders. On getting to power, Chief Conde and consolidation of like Tinubu, significant influence over he ruthlessly eliminated and campaigns of intimidation, targeted perceived enemies of the state. Stalin killed more than 10 million Russians to consolidate. And Akonde is saying Stalin-like vagabonds are on their way to power in Nigerian ones. But the ones that are coming are more dangerous, he says. Why should I not take him seriously? Hey. What happened in Russia? At least he's 85 years already. His prophecy of a dangerous power struggle looms large. He warns they will fight and possibly take over power if you are not careful to them. Political scenario where the tides of power may shift unpredictably and the established order may be overthrown by the rising violence. You heard Alake saying it is being sponsored in the southeast. Hey. However, amidst the dire warnings, he says this coming vagabond don't mean well. Skepticism about the intentions of the new political forces cast a shadow over the entire narrative to the nation itself, and yet gaining popularity, unknowingly nurtured and emboldened them. A simple dichotomy of old, intricate web of power, corruption. Meanwhile, is between the vagabonds. The people cannot come in. The request for redemption does not arise. That is the point Akonde is also making. So I'm asking, is the Nigerian revolution to counter the vagabonds speaking with me in Nigerian revolution is imminent. It is knocking on the door. The burden on my soul is that it could be the dawning of Robert Kaplan.
It's a very difficult frustration, societal frustration that we have gotten into. There should be a pushback. And that was why, but 2020, those young men emerged, they could overturn the government of Nigeria. It's what I don't know. Whose end, nobody can tell.
Do we need a Nigerian revolution?
I think we've gotten to a level where we need a Nigerian revolution.
Something drastic.
If you ask those who are knowledgeable, people in the academia, people in, in various, in terms, in our situation, in terms of society, things have gone so bad because we are not, I always tell people, it's because we are not a statistical society. The kind of violence that people, kind of homicides sparked by is foggy. You can't penetrate the level of hopelessness and despondency that they encounter.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
The people do not take to the road of revolution on a permanent basis.
People
take to the road of revolution only when Nigeria told that conclusion. They will sooner or later come to that conclusion.
So you're saying that there's the possibility of the Nigerian revolution?
Oh, definitely. It's only on a national basis, but also on an inter-NSAS movement. Unprecedented indeed. Those who make peaceful change in
and Comrade Femi in next week Saturday with Abiodun.